Hi, guys, and welcome back to Marie's Memoirs. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about today's conversation. I have with me Chenelle all the way from USA, and we are going to be talking about the video gaming industry. Oh my word, I've got so many questions. But yes, Chenelle, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chenelle Bremont, and I'm a Pacific Northwesterner. So been on in Washington, the Seattle area most of my life. And I am currently a producer with Apex Legends, which is a battle royale game. But as I said, I've been in the industry, I've been in the industry for 15 plus years. So I've worked on all types of games.
Amazing, amazing. So, okay. So what made you get in, how did you get into this kind of career role?
Yeah, so I, after school and everything, I was going to be a teacher and did a little bit of teaching and realized that in the US anyway, it doesn't pay that well.
Okay.
And I was like, what do I want to do? I want to do something different with my career. I think there's more out there. And at the same time, I started playing video games with my boyfriend, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. This is so much fun, and it's just fun to play. And why don't I know about video games? And I realized that most of the marketing was targeted to men and not women. And I was like, well, I want to be a part of changing that. I want to be part of making it more, welcoming to women. And so I decided to go into video games. So that's what got me there.
That is amazing. So, wow. Okay. So then, are there any kind of you know how you've said that you enjoyed playing video games and stuff like that? Out of curiosity, has working within the video gaming industry made you appreciate video gaming more, or has it made you appreciate it and play less video games? How has that panned out?
Yeah, so I think for each person it's going to be a bit different, but I know that for me, I don't play as often just socially and just for fun, because whatever game I'm working on, that's usually what I'm deep dive playing. And when I'm playing, I'm looking at what are the bugs, what are the issues, where can we make improvements? It's a really weird, it's I'm sure it's anyone in the movie industry or whatever. And so you kind of start looking at it differently. I will say that having during the pandemic, the most lovely thing has been Animal Crossing for me, because I just play that for fun. And so that's been really fun.
I've heard, I think I've heard of Animal Crossing, but I don't know. My sister bakes cakes, and I'm so sure there was a cake that was Animal Crossing themed, and it was a game. What is that? Wait, what kind of, is it a farming game? I can't remember.
It's how do you explain it? It's a game where you get an island and you get to make your island however you want. And so you also have little creature neighbors that you can talk to, and you can build up your island as much as you want, or keep it I keep mine low key, and then you can visit other people's islands. So what's been fun is my nieces and my sister and stuff, we play together. So that's how we've been connecting. Yeah.
That sounds so fun. That sounds like an interactive Sims almost, or an interactive, there was another Romance Empire or something like that, but that was a PC game. It's really old.
Yeah. I would say it's more like The Sims kind of, but you get in there and you play, and it's, it's kind of funny because it also has similarities to Minecraft, and I worked on Minecraft for quite a while. So
wow.
So
you're just a wealth of knowledge here, Chenelle. So in regards to the gaming industry, are there any current trends or buzzwords that are kind of what they're kind of building up into the gaming industry at the moment that is a big hit, or should be a big hit?
Yeah, I don't know any, actually. There's trends in that, if you want to work in the video game industry, it's important to understand data, how data is used for
Mm.
making your game or thinking about like doing design with your game, like that kind of stuff. So collecting data, analyzing data, that's a big thing that wasn't as big when I first started in the industry. Now it's like, your bread and butter. So that's really important. Yeah, I don't know any buzzwords or term words necessarily. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious. You know how in the with video gaming, does that link to is it called, it's not AI, it's like virtual reality games? Is there like a major crossover, or is that essentially under the same thing as kind of video gaming? Would that be classed as the same thing when you put like the goggles on and you see like an interactive world around you, like in 4D?
Yeah, so there's two different types of that sort of virtual reality experience. So you have the virtual reality where you put like the goggles on and you're immersed and everything around you is now virtual. Right. Or you have augmented reality, which is where you have some virtual stuff overlaid. Like, so for example, like if I put glasses on and then it showed me my living room and I could see my living room, but then there would be like a virtual character that might be now in my living room. And so it's sort of like a blended sort of experience. And so yeah, I've worked in both. I worked on at Minecraft on HoloLens and the HoloLens team when it was very futuristic sort of experimentation, and that was super cool, and got to learn a lot there. And then for Minecraft, when I got hired, I was the lead producer for the Oculus and Gear VR version for when they were like getting ready to ship it. So yeah, so that was fun. And that's so there's all kinds of different applications. You can definitely do the video game side of things. You could do things where maybe it's like a virtual chef teaching you how to cook a meal. So it doesn't have to be video games. It could be like informational type of experiences. It could be virtually shopping. So you're like, have a, I don't know, some way in which it looks like you're actually taking the clothes, like wearing different outfits and things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of applications.
No, what you've just said about yes, I've seen advertisements about this. I can't remember the company exactly, but I remember on the dock, the lady, like you could walk in front of the mirror and the mirror would place you in an outfit, and you could pick different outfits, and it would just, so you could see what an outfit looks like. And I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah. Oh my goodness. No, that sounds really exciting, because the new kind of ways of progression in regards to video gaming and virtual reality, like it's almost limitless. Like it's every single time they come out with something new, it's just like, wow, this is incredibly innovative and exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love the industry and have stayed for so long, is that there's always new challenges, always new things to like learn, always. And there's so many types of games that even when you're working in the industry, you may learn about, like a sim title, and then maybe you'll play a first person shooter, or not play, but like work on, first person shooter or something like that. So it varies so much. It's wonderful.
That is amazing. So in all of your years experience within the gaming industry, can you tell us about one of the most challenging kind of like games or situations within gaming that you've had to kind of figure out, and what was your main learning point from that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I just said, there's so many things that change. Like your industry is always growing and there's always new things happening. So for me, let's see, I mean, I've done everything. Like when I worked on Rock Band, and I was working for Xbox and helping Rock Band get onto our platform. And that was a little bit challenging, because at that time you had brand new controller types that you've never had before, right? Like think about it, like how do you test a controller that's a drum or a guitar, where you can actually not just play the game, but you're navigating the menu system with that guitar, because that has to be your controller now, right? And so that was kind of interesting. But the largest challenge I had was when we decided to bring the ocean more to the ocean in Minecraft, and we did this huge release that had a whole like new ecosystem, right, of like new creatures and new ways of swimming and new like quests for like going, you know, underwater. And I was the producer working with the team, and that was like really exciting and challenging, and there was so much. It was like one of the largest releases at that time that Minecraft had done. We had two teams, you know, there was a team in Stockholm working on the Java version. They're like, you know, the original owners of Minecraft. And then we had a team in Seattle that was like doing all the other platforms, and it was very exciting. So that was a large challenge. And I think, I mean, to me, it took all the team to make it happen, and a lot of just cross teamwork. Yeah. And so I think out of that, just learning how to just build upon lots of communication to make the teamwork work well across different teams, across different regions. You know, it just took a lot of communication. And so that was the big takeaway. Yeah.
Wow. That the thing is, like, when it comes to like coding and doing, like, with having such a big project to work on, and knowing that you've got different teams, literally like you've just said, situated in different regions, maybe even different countries, and then it's making sure that the communication is like A1, because you can't afford for things to go wrong with anything. So it must have been very, very intense, with like a lot of meetings, a lot of paperwork, bureaucracy. But it definitely sounds exciting. I understand why you would stay in the video gaming industry. It sounds so cool. So yeah. What about okay, so throughout your career, what has been your most impressive kind of experience of a video game or virtual reality situation?
Well, when I think about like the most impressive sort of moment or experience I had, I would have to say most recently when I joined Apex Legends. So I joined Apex Legends. I had never played a battle royale game. I've played lots of first-person shooters, and I've played like some Call of Duty and, you know, things like that. But this is like at another level. It's like super fast-paced, incredible, lots of information like coming at you at once. And when I first joined, it was obviously I needed to learn how to play the game, and I was like, I don't know how to play. What am I going to do? And my niece's boyfriend was like, oh, I'll show you how to play.
Amazing.
Oh, let's do it. Okay, so we get in. Turns out he's like a pro player on this title, and I don't know how to do anything. I'm like, I'm gonna like immediately die. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's usually a 3-person, like you usually get 3 people on a team. Mm-hmm. But every time people would join our team, they'd see how low level I was, and they would just bail. So it would be just 2 of us. So everyone else had teams of 3, and there'd be just the 2 of us. And he ran circles around everyone. He would just wipe. And he would be so calm about it. He's just like, yeah, okay, well, you need to go over there and get some of that loot. And meanwhile, people are shooting, and he's just like taking them all out. And I'm like, what's happening? You know, and it was the most amazing experience. And like I would die, and he would like get my banner, and he'd resurrect me, however, you know, meanwhile shooting people. I mean, I think we won once. We were like in second place a lot of the times. I mean, and he had me, which I couldn't do anything. I was just dead weight trying to learn the game. That was the most impressive I'd ever played.
That is so funny.
Mm-hmm.
That is like literally from not knowing what's going on and how to do anything. But it's fine. I'm protected. You're here. It's fine. We'll just work through it. But you'll work through it and just help me.
It was awesome. It was great. It was great. That was really fun.
That is so fun. So if somebody was thinking about entering the video gaming industry, in your opinion, what kind of behaviors or qualifications do you think it takes to be successful within that industry?
Well, generally speaking, I would say having a passion for the video game industry, because if you enjoy it and love it and have a passion for it, that's what gets you through the hard times when like your team is crunching or your things aren't going well, or like with the game itself, maybe how it was designed wasn't going the direction you wanted to, whatever is tough or hard or stressful. The fact that you love what you're doing really helps get you through. So having some passion. Also just, be prepared to put your time in and learn, because just because you play video games doesn't mean you understand the industry itself. And it's like every other industry, you have things you need to learn. And so be prepared to be like that. I'm going to absorb, I'm going to learn, I'm going to take what I've got and continue to build on it. So I guess being a person who enjoys learning, right, and growth. So those are some of the, behaviors. And being a team player is also very, I think, important. And there's other industries where, you're more individually looking at your personal career, or even like when you're teaching, you may collaborate with other teachers, but you're in that classroom yourself, owning and driving that classroom. But when you're trying to ship a game, you're working as a whole team. And so being able to work, with others collaboratively is important too.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, especially since a lot of the kind of tasks will be delegated between the team, and you've literally everyone's got to pull their weight and pull each other up together. So I definitely hear that. What about like IT skills? Like, would you need to know how to do coding to do video games, or graphic design skills? Would that be useful? If you want to go into it.
So you don't have to be a coder, right? The more, if you at least have some experience of coding, that does give you like a foot in the door, or kind of like a little bit leverage up in a way. So it's not bad. There's lots of even free, online courses that could introduce you to coding and give you some context of that. But the video game industry is vast. It's huge. It's like you could be a marketing person that's working on marketing for video games, if that's like your passion. You could be a writer. I work with a narrative team right now for, Apex Legends, and they aren't coders, but they're writing all the stories and the bios of the characters and the backgrounds,
Oh my gosh. It's a whole production.
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. It is like a whole thing. And so, I mean, you could be an artist that's doing 3D or 2D like art, depending on what type of game you have. So you could be an artist that's doing that. You definitely would probably have technical skills there, because you'd be working in software and creating things, but you don't have to code. I would say it does give you a little leverage up in the game industry if you understand it, so that like when you're talking to engineers, you have a good base or understanding, or if you're talking to, technical artists, you have some understanding. It's not necessary in that. I would say, what's your passion first? Like if you can take video games and then like maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a writer, maybe you are like you want to get in there and get into the code and make the game. That's totally good path too, like for sure. So there's all kinds of ways to get in.
Amazing. That sounds so cool. I felt like the penny just dropped at how big the production of gaming actually is. Like literally, because the characters have to come from somewhere. The storylines of where you start and your mission and where you finish and everything in between. It has to be written up. I've never thought of it that way. Thank you. I've definitely learned something today.
It's fun. Wow. It's so fun. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. And I think the teams now you can do anything from just like an indie video game where one, two, three people are making this little game that could be a mobile game, or it could be like a small indie game, or you could have like really big productions that are huge live service games that are putting stuff out every couple of months or whatever. And yeah, that takes a lot of people to keep it going. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I feel so impressed. I'm still marinating in that penny drop moment. Okay, so I think my last question would be, okay, so my last question would be, could you share 3 pieces of advice for someone who is looking to enter into this career path?
Well, I think I've said the number one is, figure out what you're passionate about, or like the particular area. Explore a bit, learn like, there's a lot of free online courses that you could sort of dig into. I did one that was character design, which was really fun and eye-opening, just because I knew I'd be working at Apex Legends. I knew I'd be working with the character pipeline and that. And so I took a little course to learn just 101 character design. So like play around with it, figure out what you're passionate about. Be willing to put the work in, as I mentioned before too. I've been talking to several sort of younger people that are just coming out of college that are interested in, or high school students, and they're like, oh, I want to be a designer and I want to design a game. And it's like, well, you don't usually get hired at like the big companies to be a designer unless you've got and put the time in of even, whether it's code, whether it's, other aspects of the game, like learning and understanding that. So it's like, you need to just, unless you're going to do your own indie thing, which is awesome too. So put the work in, whether it's you're individually creating your own little games or mobile games to get experience, or whether you're going into a company and like learning from the ground up. So, and then the last piece I would say, which I think is really important especially for minorities, and as a woman who's been in a male industry thing, is understand and know your worth. So this is for anyone, even if it's just out of college, but even if it's like you've been working in the game industry for a couple of years, or whether you understand your worth. So figure out like your skill levels, what is it across the board, like the pay that people are getting, and where do you fit in that, and how can you leverage that? And I mean, this is your career, and so take the time to understand that, so that when you're interviewing for a job what to ask for. And I don't mean ask for your worth, ask for a little bit more than your worth, like give yourself that benefit of the doubt, like put yourself, be your best advocate, I guess. And that means understanding and knowing your worth. So those are my advice.
I absolutely love that. And it's funny that you mentioned that about like adding on a little bit extra, because as women, there have been research and studies that show that we kind of undervalue ourselves in comparison to what men ask for. So two consultants, a man and a woman, could go for the same position, and the man would be like nearly double, don't quote me, but like nearly double, a lot more than what the lady is asking for. And it's like, if you don't ask, you don't get. Always be willing to, be a little bit cheeky, especially within the industry. If you know what the pay is, and you know your experience, what courses you've done, what you're talking about, that little bit extra, because we feel guilty about it, but we shouldn't.
I know it's definitely a challenge, and you're right on. Somebody just told me recently that men will ask not just double, but add additional 20% on top of that double that they ask. I was like, what?
I know. I'm just
why didn't I get this memo? Where's the memo that I should have gotten? Like,
well, no, I think
it's sneaky. I'm like, okay, I got this now. All right.
No, that it's so important. It's so important, and it's good that we're having these discussions to kind of bring it back for women that are professionals within in different industries. This is something that goes across worldwide in every industry in regards to professionalism everywhere. So I love that. I really, really love that. Chenelle, oh my, I've had so much fun speaking with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on here.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me. This has been a joy. It's been really fun. I'm so glad that we were able to connect, and I hope we stay in touch and continue to have conversations.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.